I carried the last box from the attic down to the living room, my arms dusted with insulation and memory. The house felt hollow in that way places do when they're almost empty, but not quite. Like it hadn't figured out yet whether it was grieving or relieved. Elena was in the kitchen, barefoot, her hair pulled up in that loose, half-forgotten way she used to wear it in college. She'd been quieter today. Not sad, exactly. Just distant. Like she'd already moved somewhere her body hadn't followed yet. I told myself I was just here to help. One weekend, a few boxes, old friends. Nothing more. But when I opened the drawer in the side table by the front window, I found the photo. Their wedding day. Hers and Mark's. I almost didn't recognize them. Her smile was there, but her eyes weren't. The frame was face down, tucked between mismatched batteries and a dried-out pen. I heard her before I saw her. Her steps slowed just outside the doorway. She didn't ask what I'd found, just leaned her shoulder against the frame and said quietly, "It never felt like mine." Her voice was soft. Not bitter, not angry, just tired. But there was something else, too. Something I hadn't heard before. An opening. An unspoken, "You know what I mean, don't you?" I did. God, I did. My fingers curled around the photo. I wanted to say something, anything, but I was afraid my voice might give too much away. So I slipped the frame back into the drawer, face down again, and said, "Want me to stay the weekend? We can finish the rest together." She nodded, like she'd been hoping I'd offer. "Yeah, that'd be nice." That night, we sat on the floor eating pizza off napkins, surrounded by half-sealed boxes and a decades-old playlist I didn't know she still had saved. She asked about my job, my mom, whether I was still making jewelry on the side. I asked how she was sleeping. She shrugged. Neither of us mentioned the photo. But everything had shifted. Not loudly, not obviously, just shifted. Like a door I hadn't known was closed had quietly clicked open. I lay awake on the air mattress, staring at the ceiling. I wasn't here as a friend anymore. Not only. I'd stayed close all those years, always within reach but never reaching out. And I realized, with a strange ache in my chest, that I'd been waiting for this moment without even knowing it. Maybe she had too.
The weekend didn't end. We kept saying tomorrow, like it was a real plan, like the truck would definitely come Monday or Tuesday at the latest. But each day blurred into the next, filled with sorting and cleaning and debating whether that chair was worth donating or burning. The kind of intimacy that comes from shared tasks and unspoken histories. We found a box of old postcards from a road trip she took in her 20s. None of them ever sent. She read them aloud in a bad Southern accent until we both collapsed laughing on the dusty carpet, breathless and grinning like the girls we used to be, or maybe like the women we could have been if things had gone differently. That night, the guest room was fully packed, bed frame disassembled, mattress leaning against the wall. I offered to take the couch, but Elena just shook her head. "It's lumpy and smells like garlic bread. You'll hate it." So we shared her bed. Not in a way that meant anything, I told myself. Just two people, backs turned, a polite few inches of mattress between us. But in the dark, as the silence stretched, I felt her fingers find mine. She didn't say a word, just curled her pinky around mine like it was nothing, like it was everything. My heart tried to climb out of my ribs. I didn't move, didn't breathe, afraid even the smallest shift would shatter whatever this was becoming. The next day, over chipped mugs of wine, she said it like a confession she'd practiced in the mirror. The marriage was over long before the papers. I thought I was broken. Her eyes were on the floor, her thumbs circling the rim of her glass. Until you looked at me like I wasn't. I wanted to reach for her, to say, "You've never been broken to me, not once." But the word stuck somewhere between my throat and my fear. Because if I was wrong, if I'd misread it, I wasn't sure I'd recover. That night, we were digging through one last box marked, "Elena, bedroom, maybe." She pulled something from the bottom, a folded envelope yellowed at the edges. She looked at it for a long moment before speaking. "I wrote this 2 years ago. I didn't have the nerve to send it." She handed it to me, didn't open it, didn't explain. "I don't know if it means anything now, but I don't want to keep it anymore." Then she walked into the kitchen, leaving me on the living room floor with her past held lightly in my palm. I turned it over. My name was written across the front in her careful handwriting. I didn't open it. Not yet. I just held it there, heart pounding, the weight of everything unsaid pressing down on my chest like gravity had suddenly doubled. I didn't sleep. The letter sat beside me on the nightstand like a heartbeat. I kept reaching for it, then pulling back, afraid of what it might confirm or deny. Somewhere around 4 a.m., I gave in. Her handwriting was the same as always, looped and steady, with the small curl on every lowercase y. I don't know what this is. Maybe just a thank you, maybe a confession, maybe both. I think I started loving you before I even realized I was lonely. Some nights I lie next to him and pretend it's your voice I hear downstairs, your laugh in the kitchen. I know it's wrong. I know I made a life and I meant to keep it. But then you stayed close, and I started dreaming in maybes. If I ever leave and you're still there, I hope it means something. I sat with it for a long time. I wanted to cry, but the tears didn't come. Just this ache, low and deep, for all the days we'd lost pretending this was only friendship. For the late night calls and inside jokes and holidays spent side by side, always orbiting something we were too careful to name. At sunrise, I made coffee and stood at the back window, watching lights slowly spill into the yard. Everything felt still, paused. And then I noticed it. The driveway was empty. I rushed through the house, half hoping I was wrong, but the boxes were gone. So was her car. Her room was stripped bare, the bed neatly made like she was trying not to leave a trace. On the kitchen counter, a single folded note with my name on it. "Thank you for helping me leave. I didn't know how to ask you to stay." No punctuation, no sign-off, just that one line full of goodbye and maybe. I sat there for a long time, long enough for the coffee to go cold in my hands. Then I grabbed my keys. I didn't pack a bag or think about what I'd say. I didn't even text her. I just drove, 2 towns over, where I knew she'd rented that little apartment above the flower shop. I didn't know what she'd say if she saw me. I didn't even know if she'd answer the door. But I knew I couldn't let silence keep speaking for me. So I climbed the narrow stairs, heart rattling in my chest, and knocked. No speech, no plan. Just me. Finally, just me. The door opened slower than I expected, like she wasn't sure whether to answer or hide. But when it finally swung wide, there she was, Elena, in an oversized sweatshirt, no makeup, hair mussed from sleep.
Her eyes met mine, startled, vulnerable. She didn't speak. She just stepped forward and pulled me into her arms. No hesitation, no explanations. I think I forgot how to breathe for a second. She held me like she'd been waiting to, like maybe she'd been hoping I'd come find her, but didn't know how to believe in that kind of hope anymore. "I thought you were gone," she whispered against my shoulder. "I thought you didn't want me to stay," I whispered back. We stood like that in the doorway, wrapped in the echo of everything we hadn't said for years. And when we finally pulled back, it wasn't awkward or uncertain, it was relief. Inside, the apartment was still mostly boxes and blank walls. A single lamp lit the space in a warm circle. She gestured toward the kitchen. "I only have one mug unpacked. We can share?" I nodded. "We've shared worse." She laughed, really laughed, and the sound filled the room like sunlight. We unpacked slowly, no rush. A drawer here, a shelf there. She let me put my playlist on while we folded dish towels and found a home for the chipped wine mugs. Everything about it felt intimate, but not fragile, like we were building something, not tiptoeing around it. At one point, I found her toothbrush beside mine in the bathroom cup, deliberately placed, not just tossed there. I stared at it for a moment, feeling the weight of that small gesture, that quiet claim. We didn't talk about the letter or the marriage or the years between. Instead, we started where we were, with shared space, with silence that didn't feel empty, with a record playing low in the background and her hand resting lightly on the small of my back as we moved around each other, like we'd done this 100 times before. And then, because it felt right, because it was easy, she took my hand and pulled me into the living room. "Dance with me," she said. There was barely any room between the boxes, but we managed. Barefoot, slow, turning in soft circles beneath the glow of that one little lamp. Her cheek against mine, her breath steady, no hurry. I closed my eyes and felt the floor beneath us, the warmth between us, and the peace that comes only when you finally stop running from what's always been true. This wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. A hallway still cluttered with half-open boxes, 2 toothbrushes in a ceramic cup, a record spinning its last slow notes, and us, finally home.